So there's a little bit more than 2 weeks before the presidential election, and I wanted to make a prediction video just to have a little bit of fun. As many of you guys know, I successfully predicted Donald Trump to win the 2016 election back in the Republican primaries.
And I would say that he probably wins the nomination, and then he gets obliterated in the general election.
I think Trump will win the presidency. Then I also successfully predicted that Joe Biden would win the 2020 election due to just normies being glued to the mainstream media while being locked in their houses. So far, we're 2 for 2 with the last 2 presidential elections, and maybe we'll go 3 for 3. So here we go. First of all, let's talk about how absolutely insane this 2024 election cycle has been. Not that long ago, Joe Biden was the candidate, the current president, the incumbent president, and dropped out of the race. That is absolutely insane, considering the amount of incumbent advantage there is, name recognition there is. For him to drop out, that's crazy. And it wasn't even that long ago. Also, you know what else wasn't that long ago? Trump getting shot. And you know what else wasn't that long ago? The other time they tried to shoot Trump. They've tried to kill this man at least twice. This has been the absolute most insane election ever. You can't even remember all the insane things that have happened. That's how crazy it's been. So, genuinely, anything could happen. I have been very entertained by this current cycle, and I'm sure the last week is going to be bananas. I'm honestly expecting the Republicans to run some crazy attack ads, especially the Kamala Harris, Willie Brown shit that hasn't been uncovered yet. It hasn't been like really pushed out there. Maybe they're waiting until the last week to do it. I'm honestly surprised there hasn't been a ton of attack ads running that angle. So I think it's going to get even more wild last week. So who do I think is going to win? I think Donald Trump is going to win the 2024 election. He's going to win the Electoral College, and honestly, I give it about a 50-50 shot he wins the popular vote. Donald Trump has a talent for getting people who don't normally vote to vote, and I think the amount of low propensity voters that vote this cycle is going to be significantly larger than any other cycle. Back in 2020, it was kind of weird, but people weren't really struggling in the same way they are now. There's a lot of normal people out there struggling with this inflation and the bad job market. Things are just so expensive. And I think there's going to be a lot of people very motivated to vote this time around because they're really feeling it. Like, for real. It's not just talking points and people like, exaggerating things. To be honest, a lot of COVID really was just people being really dramatic. But this time around, like, dude, you go to the grocery store and you're like, fuck, dude. Like, even if you have money, it's still, like, you go buy batteries. Like, have you seen the price of batteries? Like, it's just crazy. I definitely think there's going to be some election day surprises where maybe Trump even snags a state he wasn't even supposed to win. Normally, this happens on both sides where, the Republicans will underestimate their support and one of these Republican states will be way closer than it should have been, and same goes with Democrats. There's 50 states in the U.S., so it's really easy to have a blind spot. But I think some of these states, Trump might just steal them because there's a lot more Trump supporters than people think. And Kamala Harris, I think it's likely that she's going to have lower turnout. I think Donald Trump may have higher turnout than people are expecting just due to these conditions. And I live in Virginia. Virginia right now is being polled as +7 to +10 points for Harris. And I look around and I'm just not seeing it. Now, Virginia is a state that is entirely red except for Northern Virginia. There's a ton of people that live in Northern Virginia. They have jobs in D.C. and they work for the government, so they vote blue. But, dude, if the weather's bad up there, really, genuinely, if the turnout swings in just 2 or 3% either way, where 2 or 3% less people vote, you go out to vote for Harris, 2 or 3% more vote for Trump, I think he could win Virginia. I know that sounds insane when you look at the polls right now, but just a little bit of a swing in both directions will do it. Kamala Harris may still win Virginia, but I definitely don't think it's going to be by 10 points. That sounds crazy to me. So why do I think Donald Trump is going to win? Well, the number one and most obvious answer is that the vast, vast majority of people are doing worse now than they did under Donald Trump. Let's take me, for example. I'm in a very privileged position in that I had assets pre-COVID, and also my wife bought her house pre-COVID. So we had significant assets that shielded us from the inflation that a lot of people are just taking right on the chin. And that is huge. So you would think, okay, people like us are doing better under this current administration because we're not feeling the inflation as much. No, we're not. Because The Donald Trump stock market was a fucking rocket ship, dude. Anybody that invested any amount of money in anything looks like a genius under Donald Trump because the thing just shot straight up. It was absolute insanity. A lot of my holdings come from the Obama era, so obviously, I did okay. But dude, it was a straight up rocket ship. Now, some of you are going to say, what about the Joe Biden economy? Look at the stock market under Joe Biden. Yes, you're correct. Now, adjust that stock market for inflation. Huh? Oh, that graph looks a whole lot worse. So, yes, the stock market did shoot up under Joe Biden as well, but a lot of that was the assets largely just keeping up with inflation. It's not gains. It's just you're just sort of treading water, which is better than, it's better to tread water than to be drowning like a lot of Americans are right now, but you're certainly not doing as well as you did under Donald Trump when the thing shot up, when inflation was low. And more importantly, the job market was more competitive. The job market right now is terrible. In my neck of the woods, welders are not quitting their job over petty shit. When welders aren't just walking off jobs, the job market must be tight. Like they're just, oh yes, boss man, I'll get right on it. Like, dude, it's crazy out there. Your average person right now is just really feeling it when they have to buy day-to-day necessities. When you go to the grocery store, even if you have money, it takes your breath away. If you're looking for a job right now, I'm sorry, it's terrible. I look at my life right now, and I am 3 variables away from being one of these people really struggling right now. If I didn't play video games with investment bankers, if my wife didn't buy her house pre-COVID, and if we had a kid, you introduce all 3 of those variables into my current life right now, and dude, we are struggling. So just that's not a good look, dude. The number 2 reason why I think Donald Trump is going to win is that there are a whole lot less closeted Trump supporters. In the past, the only people that would say they were voting for Donald Trump were the true ride or die people. Everybody else would just go and secretly vote for him in the voting booth when nobody was looking. They'd, look both ways and make sure there wasn't a white woman in sight before they, hit the button, right? But nowadays, dude, with the way things are, there is zero anxiety about saying you're voting for Trump because it's just like, okay, yeah, I get it. I get it. That's where most people are. The next reason why I think Donald Trump is going to win is that there are a lot of people voting for Donald Trump, and they're voting for him for many different reasons. Whereas Kamala Harris doesn't really have that many people voting for her. They're more voting against Trump. And I think that in that paradigm, the voter turnout for Harris is going to be lower because you're not as motivated to vote against somebody, I feel like. Whereas if you are one of these ride or die Trump people, these people would crawl through glass to vote for Trump. The Democrats do have one weapon, and that is abortion and white women. The white women love abortion. It's crazy. But how much blood can you get from that stone, man? I mean, maybe it's enough. There's a saying, row, row, row the vote. But how much are you banking on abortion? It just seems crazy that they're really hinging the whole thing on that. I've seen a lot of the Kamala Harris, ads they've been placing in the neighborhoods, and dude, the whole thing is abortion. It's crazy, and people love their abortions. I get it, but that would be like the Republicans hinging all of their votes on guns. That's the only equivalent I can make. And, people love guns, but people care about stuff other than guns too. So I don't know. I just don't think it's enough. The next reason why I think Donald Trump is going to win is that Kamala Harris is just a horrific politician. She has all of the unlikability of Hillary Clinton without any of the competency. Now, Hillary Clinton had a lot of detractors. A lot of people didn't like her, but people didn't think she was stupid. People didn't think that, she couldn't string together a sentence. People didn't think she was dumb. People thought she was intelligent. They just thought, okay, maybe she's kind of evil. But you just don't have that with Kamala. Kamala Harris has no upsides. It's actually insane that she is the candidate. If anyone else was the candidate other than Biden, I don't think we'd be having this discussion. I think it would be obvious that Trump was going to lose, but damn, she's awful. She is terrible. And she has 2 more weeks to stick her foot in her mouth, and they can't hide her away anymore. That was the original strategy when Kamala first announced, is they just hid her away for a month and a half. She did no interviews, no press, just radio silence, and that was enough until it wasn't. And right now, it seems like the Kamala Harris facade is rapidly falling apart. And the final reason why I think Donald Trump is going to win is that in these last few weeks, he's become a lot more likable to the general population. The super edgy 2016 Donald Trump that was really abrasive doesn't seem to be there anymore. I think he's finally figured out, that that's maybe not the best strategy for the general population. And he's been doing these events that really make him quite likable. Most recently, the McDonald's thing. That was brilliant. And, there's going to be some left-wing people here that go, oh, who cares? He just, staged an event at McDonald's. Look at the coverage of it. Go look at any YouTube comment section covering that event. Everybody loved it. Even people that don't like Trump were like, dude, this was still pretty funny. Like, this is good optics. And I think that your general voter that's not like super plugged into politics is going to look at Donald Trump working at a McDonald's making fries. And at the very least, it humanizes him. They will find it amusing to see a billionaire frying fries, bullshitting with the workers there, serving people food. It was amusing. It was funny. There's going to be so many memes that come out of this. And Donald Trump has a lot of these iconic moments. You've got the extremes of, him almost being killed, a bullet whizzing by his ear and raising his fist up in the air. Like, that's going to be an image in the history books. But then you also have something silly like this McDonald's thing that's going to be like a meme. Even if he loses, this is going to be seen as like one of the best political moves, just working at a McDonald's. Now, some of you go like, what does that even matter? Like, who cares if he worked at a McDonald's? There are a lot of events that shouldn't matter in politics that really do. Bill Clinton playing saxophone on Arsenio Hall shouldn't have mattered, but it did. Barack Obama nailing that three-pointer on the military base. I'm a more conservative person, but when Barack Obama hit that three-pointer, when they threw him a basketball, first shot, drained it, dude, fuck yeah. Hell yeah, Obama. That makes you more likable. And I think the number one has got to be George W. Bush right after 9/11 in Yankee Stadium, throws the first pitch, absolute zinger right down the middle. I don't know if anybody's going to top that, but these events that seem inconsequential, that seem dumb, that have nothing to do with policy or whatever, they matter a lot. But that's just my take. So I think Donald Trump is going to win for all of those reasons. But the most important reason is that people are just doing worse now than they did under Trump. And I don't care how bad people think Trump is. They're going to vote for their own, self-interest. And a lot of these people that thought Trump was the worst thing in the world have had 4 years of the alternative. And they might not tell you, but, maybe they're going to vote for the orange guy this time.